The marginal revenue in thousands of dollars from the sale of X gadgets is given by the following function. R prime of X, so that's marginal because the derivative has been taken, equals 4X times X to the second plus 30,000 raised to the negative 2/3. Part A, find the total revenue function if the revenue from 115 gadgets is 60,570. And Part B, how many gadgets must be sold to generate a revenue of at least 45,000? So what they've done here is they have given us an ordered pair, 115, but they gave us the revenue in thousands, so we have to change that to 60.570. So when we use this point to find our constant, our C value of the integration, we must use that decimal, 60.570. You take 60,570 and you divide it by 1,000. So they went ahead and multiplied by 1,000, so it's kind of a tricky thing there, but we need to divide by 1,000. Okay? Now, to find R of X, we have to do the integral of R prime of X dx. So we have to do the integral of 4x, x squared plus 30,000 raised to the negative 2/3 dx. Don't forget, anytime you have the integral, you'll have the differential in the same variable as the function. Now, this is too complicated to just use a power rule. You can't distribute the 4x through there because it's not just x squared plus 30,000, it's x squared plus 30,000 to the negative 2/3. So this is going to require substitution. So we're going to make this a lot simpler by letting u be what's inside, and that is almost always the case when you're doing substitution, is that if you have a function within a function, so look, this inside is giving us a rule to do to x, but this outer thing is also telling us. So let the inside be the u. So that means the derivative of u with respect to x is 2x. So if I multiply both sides by dx, I'll end up with du is 2x dx. And then if I want to get that dx by itself, I'll divide both sides by 2x. So I now have an expression that can be substituted for dx. Derivative u over 2x, so du over 2x. So I go back to my original, okay, and what I'm going to actually integrate, and I haven't done any integration yet, I've just done the substitution and I've taken the derivative so that I can get an expression with a u in it for the dx. So instead of this dx that's here on the end, I'm going to put du over 2x because that's what we found dx to be. See down here, that's what we found dx to be. Now this whole expression was u, so I've got u to the negative 2/3, but I don't have anything for 4x, so I'm going to leave the 4x here because I don't have any substituted value that I can put for that. Now this is all multiplication, okay? And look, this 4x and this 2x, 4x is in the numerator, 2x is in the denominator, okay? And so I can further reduce that. So when I do my u substitution, I shouldn't have any x's left And actually, I won't have any x's left because those will divide to 1, and these will divide to 2, so I end up with the integral of 2u to the negative 2/3 du. Now we haven't integrated yet, but now we can integrate because we have a simple power rule integration problem. Whenever you have a base to a power like this, just a single base, just u, okay? Nothing complicated, just a u. All we have to do is, the constant will stay there. We're going to add 1 to the exponent, and we're going to divide by the new exponent. And we're going to remember that there was some constant originally whose derivative was 0, so we have no idea what that constant is yet. We do have some information given. This point will help us to find the constant value. So we do a little arithmetic here. 2u to the 1/3 over 1/3 plus c. And when you divide by a fraction, you end up flipping that over and multiplying. So that's just 6u to the 1/3 plus c. Now we have to be careful. This point is for the revenue function, that is the function in terms of x. So we have to go back to our original function. R of x is going to be this, but not with a u in there. X squared plus 30,000 to the 1/3 plus c. So this is our revenue function, except we don't know the constant. Now, they told us that R of 115 is 60.570. And this is the part that can be a little confusing. Because they put a 30,000 here, it almost makes it seem like we should leave this as the 60,570, but we don't. We need to have a 60.570 there. So that means our revenue of 60.570,000, okay, we've divided that by 1,000, is 6 times, and our x was 115, right? This is our quantity of gadgets. So that's 115 squared plus 30,000. All of that is going to be the cube root, because the 1/3 power means the cube root. So I've got a good bit of cleaning up to do here. So inside those parentheses, I'll do that first. I've got 115 squared plus 30,000. So that's 43,225. Still have to take the cube root of that, not of the 6, but of the 43,225. So 60.570 is 6. Now I'm going to do the cube root of 43,225. I'm going to type in a 3 and the second key and the exponent key, okay, to get my cube root. So the cube root, 3 second caret key, 43225 is 35.09. So this is a decimal, 09498. Now, they're going to tell us to round. We'll look back at the original problem. It says round to the nearest integer. So we're going to eventually round. But I'm going to go with 3 places here since there are 3 places here. Okay? So this is going to be times 35.095, and then don't forget plus c. So we're going to multiply 6 times 35.095. That's 210.57. and 60.570 still on the left. So subtract 210.57 from both sides, and you get minus 150 is C. Okay, so once again, after we did our U substitution, we took our integral, we put the U back in to the integral, and don't forget plus C, because it's not a definite integral. We don't know any endpoints, but we do know a point. We know that 115 gadgets gives us 60.570 thousand. So we substitute the revenue here and the gadgets here for X, and then working our way down through the arithmetic, we end up with minus 150C. Now that means our revenue function, we know the whole revenue function now, okay? We have 6 times X squared plus 30,000. All of that is to the 1/3. And now we know the C is minus 150. So our plus C is minus 150 or plus negative 150. Okay? All right, so that is the answer to part A. Find the total revenue function, okay, rounded to the nearest integer. Well, we waited till the end and we didn't even need to round, but if we had rounded a little here, probably we would have gotten something like minus 149.97 or something, and we would have rounded it to 150. Now let's look at part B. How many gadgets, that means X is unknown, to generate a revenue of 45,000. So we're going to have to put in 45, once again, we've divided that, that means 45,000 in this equation, equals 6 times X squared plus 30,000 to the 1/3 minus 150. And I need to get into the inside of this so we can figure out what X is. So let's first get rid of the minus 150. So let's add 150. That gives me 195 equals 6. And I'm going to go ahead and write this. The cube root of X squared plus 30,000. That's what you're used to seeing usually instead of those fractional exponents. So I've got this times 6 here. So I'm going to go ahead and divide by 6. And I don't think that goes exactly evenly, but let's see. 195 divided by 6 is 32.5. I'm not going to round yet. I'm going to wait till the end to round. The cube root of X squared plus 30,000. And again, my X is inside of a cube root. I've got to get it out of there. So to undo a cube root, you need to cube both sides. When you cube a cube root, you're doing 1/3 times 3, right? Remember, this cube root is a 1/3 power times 3. You end up with an exponent of 1, so you don't even need the exponent. So that is 32.5 to the 3rd power is 34,328.125. I'm going to stick with the 3 decimal places. And on this side, I just have X squared plus 30,000. Because cubing a cube root removes the root because it gives it an exponent of 1, which we don't have to write. We subtract 30,000 from both sides, and we end up with 4,328.125 is X squared. We take the square root of that, 4328.125, and now we finally have our answer. The square root, and by the way, square root is 2nd X squared. Or you can do 2 second caret key, just like you did with the cube root. You can do a square root that way. So either one. If I do second x squared 4328.125, I get 65.79, but they ask it to the nearest whole number, so we're just going to round that up to 66, because gadgets, you can't sell a portion of a gadget, so you have to sell at least 66 gadgets.